Good evening and welcome to Open Your Mind Internet Radio. You have myself, Alan James.
And you have myself, Stephen George. A very good evening and a very happy St. Patrick's Day.
Exactly. It's Sunday the 17th of March 2012 and it's Patrick's Day and we did our little bit today for Patrick's Day, didn't we, Steve?
We did, and we're both locked. I wish. No,
drunk as a skunk. No, we don't drink.
Yeah. Sober as judges.
We spill most of it, don't we?
Yeah.
Sober as judges, so we can actually do the show tonight. We want to be sober. We'll get drunk later, maybe. On cups of tea.
On tea.
Cups of tea and coffee, that's about the size of it. Okay, right, before we go on, we get the communication channels and then we'll take it from there.
Communication channels, info@oymireland.com for your emails during the show, during the week. We also have the chat facility up on the website as well. Several people already logged in, so I'll say a big hi to all of you. And also a big hello to everyone who's listening on the TNS and tuned in on the TNS chat as well. I never say that, and I should, because nice bunch of lads and lassies over there. Is the guest book up and running?
Guest book? No, we don't have a guest book.
Oh.
No.
Right, okay, I won't be saying that anymore.
We have
don't log in.
We
have a chat facility.
Email.
Don't log into the guest book and don't leave a message because it ain't there. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyway, you can also give us a shout or a tinkle on the landline should you so wish on.
Give us a call on 046 927 1212.
That's right, give us a call 046 927 1212. If you're going to ring in from outside Republic of Ireland, it's 00353 in front of that. Alan.
Right, okay. Our guest on tonight is Ben Gilroy from DDI. Now, we don't want to be seen as impartial and favouritism regarding political parties. So, if there's any TDs that you know that are willing to come on the show, we'd be more than happy to have them on and talk to them. Ben obviously has been on the show a few times, and they're a welcome guest on the show. But any political party, whether that's Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour, Sinn Féin, or any of the independents, we're more than happy to have them on and talk to them. So if you know them, get them on.
Absolutely.
We'll be happy to have a chat with them.
Make them aware of OYM. Let them know what we do, and if they're willing to come on, happy days. I mean, we've in the past emailed various different parties and TDs to no avail. No one seems to want to get back to us when they know what side of the fence we're actually. Well, when they know we're kind of sitting on the fence, the kind of the OYM side. No one seems to want to come on.
So
except, say, Ben from DDI.
Which is fair play for DDI for coming on the show. Now, donations and bumper stickers. Guys, thanks a lot again for your donations. Keep them coming in. It really helps to fund OYM. And the bumper stickers, again, great stuff. Thanks for coming in and purchasing. We had one or two issues with at the start of the week last week regarding the purchasing of the bumper stickers, but that's now sorted, hopefully. But if you have any issues, by all means let us know. But, help supporters, get the bumper stickers, get the message out there, and let people know that you're awake and get talking to them. Tonight, we're going to have the competition tickets for the Bernadette Bowen competition. Now, what's going to happen is, Steve's going to read out all the details, and halfway through the show, we're going to ask the question. And then you can either, ring in on the phone number.
Yeah, has to be ringing.
Has to be ringing.
Yeah. If you want to go, you want 2 free tickets, you'll ring in, you'll pick up the phone.
As I say, it's a brilliant show. It's on next week. Should be on next week, I think is the date. And it's €70, the value of these 2 tickets. So, at this day and age, with €70 is a lot of money. You could buy a lot with that. So, Steve, do you want to give us the details? And the clever people will actually record this. And then they'll play it back. But that's up to you. Okay,
right,
Steve.
Okay, so if people don't record, they're not clever. Yeah, you're digging yourself into a hole there, my friend. Anyway, Dr. Brian Clement and best-selling author Bernadette Bowen come together to give a practical guide to losing weight, increasing energy, and improving your health naturally. This is a meet and greet with Dr. Clement and Bernadette Bowen. Bernadette, she's a woman who we've had on OYM a couple of times, and a genuinely nice person. She has had cancer and has sent it into spontaneous remission not once but twice. Anyway, a meet and greet with Dr. Clement and Bernadette Bowen. It's on Tuesday, March 26th this year. It's 7:30 to 10 p.m. It's at the Carlton Hotel. The Carlton Dublin Airport Hotel. That's on the Old Airport Road in Clougharan in Ireland. Again, that is Dr. Clement and Bernard Bone, Tuesday, March 26th. March 26th at 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tickets are €35 each. We have 2 free tickets to give away for anyone who, when we ask the question during the show, is the first caller to ring in with the correct answer.
Excellent. Okay, right. So halfway through the show, we're going to ask the question, and then whoever rings in first is going to get the tickets.
Sorry,
okay?
Did I mention that was on Tuesday, 26th of March? I think I did, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
I think you did.
Grand.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Right, okay, and a big thanks to Alan and Kathy at English Riviera Productions, rivieraproductions.co.uk, for a donation of a number of copies of Alan Carner's latest album, Providence, which is on sale on the website as well. And again, if you buy the album, which is a great album by Alan, funds go to OYM and help fund us. A really big thanks to everybody who actually does that to OYM, because it really helps us keep things going, and it helps us, get a few bits and pieces at OYM and the donations and everything else. I mean, it's a big help, guys, and we appreciate the people who sponsor us, kind of, in a way, given the goods like that. As I say, CDs from Alan and Kathy from his latest album. So thanks again for that. That's really, really...
I know you say sponsors us. Well, kind of. I mean, he's a friend of the show. When we started, we kind of hooked up. He listened to us, and we heard some of his music. We found we had some things in common. But he's just donated them to the show, basically. I mean, he's not sponsored. It's not as if we have, we have sponsorship. We don't.
Yeah, but he's donated, and it's really nice for him to do that. Okay, just one more thing on the list before we go up to Steve's week. We had Miles Johnson on last week, and he was talking about all the video interviews that he did. The one I watched, which is about 4 hours, was the one called Basis 23 with James Casbolt, a.k.a. Michael Prince. Even though I have been involved in the alternative media and open, I've been awake since 2001, there's a lot of information there that Michael talks about which will kind of blow your mind. Now, I did send an email to Miles and thanked him for the information, but I also said that all Michael is doing is talking. I'm not seeing any evidence. So hopefully we'll try and get some evidence and find out a bit more about it. It's mind-blowing stuff, I have to say. If that's true, it's definitely mind-blowing stuff. But, like anything, I'm an open-minded skeptic. Maybe have a listen to it yourself, the interview, and see what you think. See if it resonates with you, but I'm not seeing any evidence. We need to see the evidence, really. Really, really need to see the evidence. But anyway, so that was pretty good anyway. It was a good interview. Steve, how's your week?
I'm glad you asked. My week's been an interesting week. It's just been a regular week. Sorry, it hasn't really been it hasn't been a fantastic week. But we did something during the week, Alan and I, which we're going to be talking about later on. So there's no point in me talking about it now because it's in relation to a meeting that we went to during the week. So I'm not going to say too much to say because we're going to be talking about it anyway. But other than that, what was my week? It was just the usual kind of checking out some links and following a few interesting pieces of information on Facebook and whatnot, and just watching a couple of videos and trying to educate myself even more. I don't think we're going to be talking about David Icke tonight, but my darling beloved rang me in work during the week just to let me know that David Icke was being interviewed on mainstream TV, and of course my initial reaction to that was, oh yeah, here we go, they're going to bring him on, make it, trying to poke fun at him and look at him from, with the skeptic hat on or the tinfoil hat and all this carry on. But I checked out the link myself, and I have to admit, it was David Schofield and another lady.
Philip Schofield.
David, what did I say? David Schofield.
Philip Schofield.
Wow, see, you don't watch television. I was kind of winging it there. I knew his name was Schofield.
Bet you know the girl's name.
I have no idea what her name is.
Holly Willoughby.
Holly Willoughby.
Yeah.
Right, I've never heard of her either. I do apologise. Right, so anyway, David Philip Schofield, or Philip David Schofield, he did actually give quite a good interview, and I watched it and was quite surprised of, I don't know if he was genuine or if he was kind of putting it on, but he did seem to be fairly open-minded, did Mr. Schofield. Also checked out another link that I came across, and it was another chap by the name of Russell Brand. Now, I've seen Mr. Brand on TV before, and, you know, I can take him or leave him. I know some people don't like him, some people do. I can take him or leave him. But he was on a TV show, I think it was broadcast on the internet and also on TV as well. It was a UK audience. It was kind of done in a big theatre, and it was a UK audience, but it was beamed at the US audience. He had Noel Gallagher on from Oasis, and I'm sure people are familiar with Noel, and he also had David Icke on as well. And Russell Brand and Noel Gallagher, both of them, I couldn't believe it, they're well tuned into what's going on. I mean, I would have thought, you know, the chap off of Oasis was just, he kind of gives the impression that he's, you know, just some drunken lager lout or something, but he's well in tune to what's going on. And Russell Brand obviously has done his homework as well, because that man, I had to take my hat off to him, not that I was wearing a hat, but he's well in tune with what's going on in the world and the way the world works and the bigger picture. So if I can get the link over during the week, we'll stick it up, or maybe we'll send it out to those who might be interested in watching it. It's only a couple of minutes long, but it's quite good. Other than that, you know, just being daddy and hubby during the week, and that's about it at the moment. How's your week? Okay.
Yeah, I seen the interview as well with Ike, and I just feel that he went on a level so high that the general public wouldn't understand what he was talking about. And I just happened to say that to his PA as well during the week. And I think she probably felt the same, I think. But I just think he was on a level just too high for the general public. I think he could have brought it down a bit. But anyway, that's just my opinion, you know. Right, okay. Very quickly. Information here. The following article about signal interference in a Chicago suburb is the same problem which surfaced when the new police station mast using the Tetra signal was deployed in Leixlip, County Kildare, Ireland, where this chap lives. Police officers could not get into their cars because the Tetra signal overrode the keyless locking devices of their cars. At present in British Columbia, a product defence consultant, Dr. William H. Bailey, is arguing in favour of smart meters. He was called in to defend Toyota cars, which unexplainably accelerated, killing many. Smart meters also use microwave technology. Now Bailey is defending smart meters. The point he's making is, if these signals can affect the physical world, what are they doing to us? So that's quite interesting. If the Tetra signal is affecting locking devices in cars, and smart meters are affecting Toyota cars, killing people, then we have a concern there, so we'll have to look at that. The next thing on the list before we bring Ben in was, there's a drug out there, I don't know whether you guys have heard of this, it's called scopolamine, and it's being used in South America. It puts you in an open, suggestible state. There is apparently video footage of people blowing the powder into people's faces, and then they bring them to the ATM and get them to empty their bank account. Basically, if it doesn't destroy the memory, it just suppresses the memory, so you don't remember a thing.
And if you want to get some, we have it for sale on the website.
It's been labelled the most dangerous drug in the world. It's called the devil's breath. It's a chemical from Colombia, and can block a free will, wipe memory, and even kill. And that's scopolamine. Okay, now I have a link to that on our web links. So when I send out the web links tomorrow, then what I'll do is I'll send that link out, and you can actually read all about this drug. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of the TDs in Ireland actually have been taking this drug, because when you ask them things, they just don't remember.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, we're going to bring Ben in now, and we're going to talk to him about things that happened during the week. Good evening, Ben. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Can you hear us okay?
I'll take that as a no.
You're dropping out in and out there.
We're dropping in and out. Okay. I'll tell you what we'll do, Ben. We'll go to a bit of music. Or do we just want to hang up and we'll just try it again, Steve? While just
try to reconnect or something.
Okay, bear with us. Okay, we're just going to try and reconnect with Ben there, because obviously the line's gone a bit dicky there, so we'll just call him back in and see how we get on. Because we want to maximise the time we have with Ben to go through stuff.
Hello.
Hello, how's that? Can you hear us?
Yeah, seems to be better.
Okay, brilliant stuff, brilliant. Well, good evening, Ben. Ben Gilroy from Direct Democracy Ireland. Ben, thanks again for coming on the show, being Paddy's night and all that.
No problem.
And we just want to have a catch-up on... You've been on the show before, and we've gone all through the background of who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it. So let's just kind of do a back up a bit for the week or the last couple of weeks, what you've been working on and what you've been doing. So give us a heads up on that.
Okay, well, as you know, we launched our political party before Christmas, and we were on a recruitment drive, as we said. A lot of people joining up to the party, and we're targeting certain people whom we would, like maybe to be in the party as well. And then, unfortunately, Shane McEntee took his own life. Obviously, a lot maybe had to do with the policies of his government, but, it's still a tragic thing, and as I keep saying, there's two Shane McEntees do it every day. It's a pity we don't hear about the others maybe as much, but that's just the way the world we live in, if you're in the public eye, everything is magnified. So it has kind of been, I don't know, maybe a blessing in disguise or else it's a dark cloud with a silver lining. It's, it'll get us on the map a bit, I suppose, but it has distracted from our recruitment drive. We're probably, in all honesty, not fully ready for the by-election. I think the other parties knew that, especially the government parties, and that's why they gave us within 3 weeks here. While in Donegal, when they wanted a by-election, it took 6 months on a court case for them to bring it on. Yes, in Meath here, it took just 3 weeks, knowing we didn't really have time to prepare posters and leaflets and everything else, But look, we'll give it a go. I'm not whinging about it. We'll give it a go. It'll still put us on the map, and you never know what might happen.
Well, I definitely think the word's getting around, Ben, big time, because there's people now that I'm talking to, and even though they might know you personally, or they've heard the name, and they've seen the posters, and obviously we've seen the posters as well, and you've done a great job. I mean, it's great to have a change rather than the bog standard in the suit posters looking out.
Well, I tried to change them up a little bit because, you have to do sort of the corny pose on a poster because it's all to do with face recognition. The whole thing is all contrived, and you sort of have to play that part of the game that I hate. I first just did a picture just leaning over the gate at Tara there, at Trimcastle. And then somebody said I would look like I was selling a country and western album. And I have to say, I had to agree with the people that said it. So we went for the corny one, and then what we also did was we went with some other funny ones. So there's a picture of a bull's head, and it just says deja vu. That feeling that you've been screwed again or something like that,
Yeah.
So funny things like that,
So
and that you heard this bull before. Sorry, that's what it was. You heard this bull before.
So do you feel like a bit of a Daniel O'Donnell then with the old photo?
Yeah, just a little.
We get the woolly jumper on you as well.
What's that?
We get the woolly jumper on you as well.
You know, the Val Doonigan jumper
That's
at Christmas, so you'll have to get it.
Brilliant. Right, okay, well let's talk about what happened during the week. You had we obviously advertised it on the show a couple of weeks coming up to it, and you had a little gathering in Kells, and myself and Steve went down. Let's have a talk about that. Tell me what you thought and how you think it went.
I thought it went okay. I mean, it was a rushed sort of a thing because our first plan was, when we had only 3 weeks, was maybe to hold a meeting in the towns because, enough people didn't know about direct democracy, and we were trying to do a questions and answer session. But there's such apathy out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still got 60 people out, and it was just a very short notice for them to come. And it was a good meeting. Sometimes you get 60 genuine people. It's better than 300 people who haven't breathed and are not awake to stuff going on. So I suppose from that point of view it was quite good and quite encouraging. There was a couple of people there from different parties who said they were joining direct democracy. I think you remember that Fianna Fáil guy at the end. He was got promoted into... He went up for, I don't know what their ladders are, I forget what he said, he was a councillor or something like that. And when he examined the books, he said he left after, 24 hours or 48 hours or something because of the corruption, and he was joining BDI. So that's all encouraging, but I'm just wondering, the Irish people probably aren't screwed enough just yet. I think that's what this election is going to tell us.
I definitely do, but I do want to, this is on the list to talk about. And it's something that I do want the listeners to know about this, that an ex-Fianna Fáil councillor was actually in the actual, he was in the audience, and he stood up and talked about his experience in Fianna Fáil. And when he got up to a certain level of the ladder, they allowed him to see the books. And when he seen the level of corruption in the party, he left within 48 hours of being in the party. Now, I want the listeners to understand that. This is Fianna Fáil, who's a government party, and he left within 48 hours of seeing the books, of them cooking the books. That's, I think...
But he did say, because he knew, I mean, he said he was an honest man, and once he got up to that level and he seen the corruption was pretty much laid out in front of him, he knew that the same would be expected of him. And he just said, no, that's not what he was in it for. He wasn't in it for that kind of lifestyle. See, and he just walked.
They obviously all have their noses in the trough, and they don't want the system to change, because it's the I'm okay, Jack, and sod the system, and I'll be in for 4 or 5 years, and then after that I'll have a pension, and then I'll go, and it's somebody else's problem. I mean, what a way to treat the country and your fellow countrymen.
Yeah, no, it's a disaster. At least he was a decent guy and left after 48 hours, But imagine all of them that are in there that must see that and then think that that's okay,
Yeah.
And it's I think it probably runs through a lot of Fianna Fáil, the party,
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have a few questions here, Ben, and I'm sure our listeners will have on the chat facility as well. Now, we were talking to a chap called Colin from Attack to Tax. And he was saying that you're obviously supporting them guys and what they're doing, and they're looking to take a class action against the government regarding this property charge or property tax. Yeah. Now, I don't know. I'm sure you said something on Wednesday about you tried to do that, but it didn't work. Did you try and do it from a personal point of view rather than a company point of view?
No, you can't do a class action in this country. So what they're actually doing is, I think, is trying to take a load of cases on individual basis against them. I don't think they're actually trying to do a class action. Now, maybe I'm misguided on that, but I don't think that's what they're doing. I could be wrong.
Okay, because I know the Colin and the guys are going to have a meeting on the 30th of March.
I think what they want to do is they want everybody to become a shareholder.
That's right, yeah.
And they're setting up a special purpose vehicle. This is my understanding of it. And they're setting up a special purpose vehicle, and they want people to take shares in it, the way you would any sort of special purpose vehicle, and bondholders and stuff like that. And once you're a shareholder, you can then talk in court, because you have what's called local standi. So I suppose it is, it's not officially a class action, but it is, if you know what I mean. They're trying to get around the class action rule, and it's a very clever way of doing it.
Yeah, well, I agree with them. I think myself and Steve are going to go down anyway at the end of the month.
I think it's a terrific idea.
Yeah, go down and have a listen to Colin, and obviously sign up maybe after. We'll see what they have to say first.
But isn't it terrible that we have to do this sort of thing? This is what I keep on about. People say to me, Jane, you'd have been the last person I thought would go into politics. And they're right, I would be. I mean, this wouldn't have been a route I would have chosen at all. And as I say, I'm 50 years of age, so I don't really worry too much for myself. You get to a certain age in life, nothing really bothers you, even if you look like a country singer across the country gate. When I was young and trendy, I would have cringed. But, I have young kids now, and they're really all I worry about, so... When you're living in the country, if I had no kids, I'd just be making a joke of everybody.
But Ben, I'm quite good at Photoshop, so you'll give me a few ideas with that photo, you know that?
Yeah. Put me on the front of a Daniel O'Donnell cover.
Ben Gilroy sings.
Yeah, Ben Gilroy loves his mammy.
I love me mammy.
Actually, the Labour guy was very like his... Daniel O'Donnell, was he? He never stopped on about his mammy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, my mammy said never to interrupt anybody. Yeah,
as he kept doing it.
Maybe you should get out more. Okay, so during the week, well, we're going to talk about this anyway, because we had myself and Sid had to listen to it. This was your first meeting with fellow politicians around the table on LMFM radio. It's in Dundalk, isn't it? LMFM.
Yeah.
And you had obviously the politicians around, and you're having a debate about a couple of things. So tell us, what was the lead up to it and the feelings going in and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous because, as I say to you, politics is a dirty game, and there's no question about it. And unfortunately, like I was talking to the lads that do that other thing you were talking about there, and I try to support everything. Even though I don't think protesting works too much. I mean, the evidence is, you'll see after the protest, nothing really changes. So. But however, I still support it because I think it's important. I think everybody is chipping away, at a very corrupt system. Yeah. And so a route that I've decided to take is try to be like the wooden horse of Troy, where you enter as one of those or as a gift or as a friend, and then really try to make a difference, But because we don't have a party whip system, that's what really stood out for me, and then obviously the removal of the articles from a constitution. Yeah,
definitely. Well, the party whip system, I think, is the killer in the political parties that we have at the moment.
Well, it's the killer of democracy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have democracy with a party whip. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, having 30% of the population dictate what 100% do is not really democracy, is it?
Well, but it's not even 30. If it was even 30% of the population, you'd say, well, fair enough. It's a bit skewed with the figures. The way I see party whip and the democracy we have, I mean, between the two democracies, democracy itself is not perfect. Let's be honest. I mean, democracy is sort of mob rule, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So that's your first problem. The second problem is with democracy is you can have 10 idiots telling one genius he's wrong. But look, democracy is what we have, right? So I always say, work with what we have. Don't always try to, reinvent the wheel. Because sometimes you can still get the same result. So, but what we have in this country is not even democracy. And I'll explain why. You see, in government, I don't know how many TDs Fine Gael have. Let's say they have 90 to round the figures up. And so they have 90. And at the cabinet, there's probably 12 sit at the cabinet. And the point I was trying to make on that programme is that in that cabinet of 12, you would have probably 3 of the hierarchy. So you would have Noonan, I'm sure probably Enda Kenny, and Varadkar, and maybe the Jewish Shatter. So you'd have 4 there, I would imagine, would be in the hierarchy, and they call the shots, right? Now, the problem with that is then you have a party whip. So the 4 guys come up with whatever plan of screwing the people or taxing them or whatever it is, and then what they do is they get the party whip to get the other 90 TDs to fall into line, and then they basically sell it to you. And it's not really sell it. They basically just say to you, look, this is the way it's going to be, or we're going to threaten you with the revenue, and we'll put you in prison, and we'll take out your wages, and we'll, all these sorts of threats, right? Now, that's not democracy, right? That's a 4-headed dictatorship. But my even worse than that is who is influencing the 4? Yeah. You see, I know Noonan's in the Bilderberg group, and I've said that on LMFM. Now, you see, I try not to go too David Icke-ish, even though he's terrific, but, you have to stay a little bit under the radar when you play the game, so that's what I try to do. So I just dropped it in there for the people who are not awake. I just said, look, he's part of the Bilderberg group, and I just walked away from it then. It actually wasn't the Roundhouse one, sorry, it was the week before I was on an interview where I dropped that in. But that's a real concern, and the more you chip away at that, and I'd have to say something like that on Vincent Brown on Tuesday night, about the party whip system and how it's not democracy, because, even as you say, it's 30% of the people telling 60% what to do. Well, I'm telling you now, it's 4 people telling the country what to do. And even at that, who's influencing the 4? Because I know that Michael Noonan, Shatter, and the others would not go taxing the people because they're going to be looking for votes in 2 years' time. They would not be taxing their homes and taxing their water and doing everything else if their hands were not tied by some other influence. So my problem is, what's the other influence? Like, let's say, even with representative democracy, bad and all as it is, we don't have that. They're not representing us. Like the 90 TDs or the 166 in the Dáil are not representing us. I mean, does anyone listening tonight feel they're being represented? So that's the first change I would like to make. And, you know, with direct democracy, we don't actually even represent you. Well, we do, but we more or less your spokesman. And while I know everybody will be giving out about, you know, we're sovereign people and blah, 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 I get all that. But you can't bring down the whole system without making it slow changes or brick by brick, you know, rather than one big bulldozer, because that's very difficult. You know, like somebody was on to me there on Facebook the other day, and like, while I agreed with nearly everything she was saying, you know, I was saying, that's great, but how would you implement it? Like, she was going on about, oh, the money system is corrupt and we should go back to the barter system. And I said, great, I'm all for that, but how are you going to implement that? You know, you have to set realistic goals, and maybe, you know, slowly but surely we'll get to some sort of order where we want to be.
Of course, yeah. Well, one thing that an old boss used to say to me in my younger days, when I was less knowledgeable in the area that I worked in, he always said to me, look, he said, I am not qualified to do what you do, but he said, if you're going to come to me with a problem, have 3 solutions. Because then he said, I will be able to pick from them 3 solutions, but don't just come to me with a problem. Make sure you have 3 solutions with it. Which I think is, and it's something that I remember and I use now. Yeah. You know, because people are great at bringing the problems, but they're not great at thinking about what could possibly be the solutions that we can implement, you know?
So, well, that's it. And I know, like, we're sovereign people and all, but I keep saying, like, you know, we still need hospitals and we still need nurses, and I can't say to nurses, come in and we do the barter system. Like, you know, I'll give you a bag of spuds and you work in the hospital. You know, I mean we're not close to having a good sort of system like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I've often used the barter system for different things. But you'll not bring down the whole world economy and back over to a barter system. I mean, the world economy might crash on its own, but it won't because you're bringing in the barter system. Yeah.
No, we can use the financial system. It just has to be changed. We know
there's nothing wrong with finance, and there's nothing wrong with politics, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. Once you take the corruption out, it's the corruption is the problem.
Exactly, and if we take out, if the government issued the money, interest-free money, then
debt-free and interest-free money, and back up by the assets of the country.
Exactly, and then we take.
I'm all for that. Now there's a plan.
And we take.
But even that has to be done by baby steps. You know?
Exactly.
When you see the euro crash, and I would bring in maybe a dual currency.
And take back our resources.
Well, that's my huge issue. I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, you know, when I was saying stop stop paying back the bondholders, and the Labour guy says to me, oh, what did he say, Mickey Mouse or Walt Disney finances or something like that. Where would we get the money then, Helen McEntee said, for the ATM machines, you know, this thing they always sing. And I said to them, are you telling me you're so void of ideas that, you know, you're paying back gamblers on a stock exchange, so if you stop that, there's a huge amount of money, and yet you're all telling me you're so void of ideas that we live on an island, right, with 4.5 million people, not too much bigger than, say, Manchester or Liverpool, and we are absolutely rich in oil, gas, forestry, fishing. I mean, just the list goes on. And I'm saying you can't make that work for 4.5 million people just.
Well, look at the previous government. Let's be honest, right? They had 16 senior politicians around the table. 2 of them had a business. One had a co-op and the other one had a bike shop. Enda Kenny, right? Enda Kenny is an ex-teacher. I mean, what the hell are these people doing running the country? I mean...
But you see, Enda Kenny, I think, knows his limitations, in fairness, and so does the Fine Gael party. That's why he'll never come on and debate with anyone.
Well, definitely. Well, the way I see it with everything, I mean, I've always said Ireland it has to be run like a business. And no matter whether you work in a company with 50 employees or 25,000 employees, there's always a board of directors. And they dictate what happens in that company. And the information flows down. And what's happening in Ireland Incorporated, is that Enda Kenny and his 4 in his circle are the board of directors. And they're just throwing down the information. And they're saying to all the other politicians who are the branch managers and everything else, and they're just kowtowing to what they're told to do through the party whip.
Yeah. That's right.
That's what I think.
But you see, even if it was Enda Kenny bringing it down, I think they're being influenced by the Bilderberg Group and others. That's my real concern.
Yeah.
And then he's just like a pawn. And of course, he's doing it so much. Like, I actually think Fianna Fáil maybe fought with influences quite a bit and came to some compromise between them. But I think Enda Kenny is so devoid of anything, you know, that he basically goes along with everything they do, you know, and that's why then he got Man of Europe. And I mean, on the morning he went over for that, when he was putting his trousers on, did he not say to his wife, like, you know, what did I get this for? What was that for?
Well, if you ask anybody in the country, does he deserve it? They'd say no. So his own citizenship, the citizens, the sovereign people of Ireland, would probably say no. What did he get it for? What did he do? But let's go back to this meeting, Ben, on LMFM. Now, there was a TD there which, you know, I listened to it and I thought, first I thought the guy was very patronising, and then I had to rethink and I had to listen to it, and I thought, no, he's actually condescending, because that's the attitude that these people seem to have when they get to the height of power, or they get in power. They just get like condescending to everybody else, as if to say, we know everything, you know nothing, now be a good boy and go away. And and that level of arrogance is just unreal. Do you want to tell us how you felt about it?
Yeah, well, I had already watched the four of them on Vincent Brown the week previous, and I had taken a few little notes. I knew Helen McEntee was very weak. Now, in fairness, she is a nice girl, but she's very weak. And but I knew he was arrogant because he was very smart with Vincent Brown, you know, as well. So I knew if I roiled him a little bit, he'd come out of his closet. So Helen McEntee, I kind of, you know, she wasn't in the races, to be honest, at the table, and neither was the guy from the Greens party. The Sinn Féin guy was quite impressive. Labour was just an arrogant sort of guy, and Fianna Fáil is they've just got so much shit on them that they're trying to tell you the smell's not coming from him. And that's how I felt around the table. I was quite comfortable. I did go over, I was a little bit nervous, but when I got into it, I realised, no, they really are as bad in real life as you see them on the telly. In actual fact, they all had lovely notes typed out for them, and Helen McEntee was just sticking to this thing that was typed for her that she kept saying. Now, I didn't want to embarrass her by saying, look, you're just reading from the typed page. If I take it off you, can you give the answer? I was the only one there with just a couple of biro notes that I was scribbling as they were talking, like, you know. But I wanted to kind of put down a marker as well to say, look, I'm not going to be pushed around by you guys, you know. So that's basically that was our plan. There was a break during the programme as well, and I went out to my friend Johnny because he was listening down the room, and I said, what do you think so far? And he said, yeah, look, he said, you can lay off Helen McEntee because she hasn't a clue. And if she gets in, it'll be just simply vote her because, you know, it's a family heirloom, apparently, these doll seats. So there's nothing I can do about that, and I don't want to, you know, be unkind to a girl that just lost her father either. So I think we just showed, look, she hasn't a clue, and that's good enough to leave that there. So then we concentrated on the Labour and Fianna Fáil guy, and, you know, that was kind of easy as well, you know.
Well, I definitely thought he was condescending, and I don't know how you held back not to jump over the table and wring his neck, because when I was listening to it, you know, I envisaged this, you know, years ago before they had TV, and they used to listen to the wireless, and there was a fight.
You're not that old.
No.
Stop.
I'm not that old, but you'd hear a boxing match on the wireless, and the old guy be there making the boxing movements, you know what I mean? I felt that, you know, when I heard that. Now, this is not because he's a Labour or Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael. He was just condescending.
He was just arrogant.
The arrogance.
When I got home, my wife had a big, like, stern pain. Normally she doesn't even get bothered by anyone. She said, I'd kill him if I was near him. And I said, good, and so it worked. Yeah,
I just personally don't like arrogant people, regardless of who they are, and he was one of them.
Also, I noticed about these live debates, you know, as I say, it was my first one, that, you know, they're all at each other, right? And the minute the microphone goes off, they're laughing and joking across the table, and it's, you know, Vincent Brown was terrible the other night, wasn't it, and blah, blah. And then the mic comes back on again, and they're all into this pretense of being annoyed about the situation in the country. And I think that was the most alarming thing that I've seen, because I was still annoyed at them, do you know what I mean? Mine was genuine annoyance at them.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know, Fine Gael and Labour, and laughing and joking across the table with Sinn Féin, and before you know it, and then once the mic come on again, it's this pretense for the audience that they're really annoyed with the situation. And I think that was the thing I found most alarming, that people wouldn't have seen.
Oh, you there?
Sorry, I don't know what you got of that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just going to say, on the Helen McAtee front, well, look, the girl's 26-year-old. She's just over in Appies. She doesn't know anything, hasn't seen the world at all, or she's grown up with a silver spoon in her mouth, doesn't know what hardship is. I know she mentioned on the show that, a friend of hers was struggling. He had to spend or work on something to get another year in training because he was training to be a solicitor. Well, you know,
and they think that's hardship.
They think it's hardship. Why don't you go to a family who are finding it hard to get food, put food on the table for their kids, or who are being evicted, waiting for the sheriff to come to be evicted? I mean, that, you know, why do we keep voting in these arrogant silver spoon people into the Dáil who think that because of the position they're in society, they know what's better for us?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is just my own personal view, and this is what roils me.
Yeah,
you know,
I tell you, the only thing I would say in Helen McAtee's defence is, you know, she obviously can't be faulted for where she's born, and, you know, okay, she may have been born with a spoon in her mouth, and that's fine, but, you know, and she went to college and has a couple of degrees. I have a couple of myself. They're from the College of Hard Knocks, but with that aside, I'm not sure she even wanted to take the seat.
No, I agree.
And that's the only thing I would say in her defence. I know some of her family members who told me that she wouldn't be running at all, and her parents were very much, her grandparents were very much against it. And apparently, I believe the granny is quite a forceful woman. But Fine Gael were at her and at her so much, and this is how the machine of Fine Gael, and them all, to be honest, is so contrived, because they were down at her and at her and at her to run, because they basically knew if she didn't run, they wouldn't get the sympathy vote and wouldn't get in. And that's just the fact. So if she gets in, it's purely on sympathy vote, because we all know that she doesn't know what she's talking about. But that's not her fault. You know what I mean? And she strikes me as a very nice, kind girl. And I'm hoping that, you know, I wouldn't like to see her ruined from that point of view, and I think she should maybe step out after the election. But she'll probably get elected, and then you see you're back into the kind of indoctrination, if you like, from her side with the big machine. But I did meet her in Kells today, you know, and she's a nice girl, like, you know, we shook hands and we got a photograph taken. I'd say it'll be up on probably one of our DDI sites in a while. But she and me basically have a fist over to each other, you know. So she's a nice girl, like, you know, but you can see sometimes then she's not sure if she should have done that, because she doesn't know what way she's getting programmed. Yeah, you know? She doesn't. For me, we're just two ordinary people, you know, but she has a machine basically telling her you can't do this and you can't do that. Where with me, I wouldn't care. Like, I'll just do what comes naturally to me, and if I make a mistake, so I'll make a mistake. And I'll be the first to put my hand up and say, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, nothing wrong with that.
I totally agree with you. I think Helen doesn't realise, maybe it's naivety, I don't know, but she doesn't realise what is going to be controlling her, and that she's only there as just to fill a spot so nobody else can have it. And when she goes into that party, she'll be manipulated and controlled, like her dad and like a lot of the other politicians who are in the parties with the party whip. So from a personal, I mean, I'm not having a personal attack at Helen. I'm sure she's a nice girl and all that. I just don't think she realises what she's getting herself into.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I'm not a sweetest girl, and I don't think she has the strength for that. I mean, her father didn't. You know, and he was a big, you know, country man, if you like, who knew the ways of the world, you know. Yeah. Because he couldn't handle it, and so, you know, she's a nice girl and shouldn't be kind of maybe used like that. Yeah, maybe she will. I would have preferred to be up against another Fine Gaeler who it could really have ripped into. Yeah. But, you know, like, as you say, when you're in the boxing match and the guy's on the ropes, I mean, you don't want to start sticking the boot in as well, like, you know. But that doesn't mean for anything. I mean, you'll still get so many people in that county that'll still go out and just give her a sympathy vote, as if that will change anything in the country. Yeah, it's just going to be a wasted vote. Okay, let's talk about the... we have a few questions coming in, so after this... I'd like to address all the questions, because I want to be... the other guy will answer the questions. And if I don't know, I'll say I don't know. But we'll go through them anyway.
Yeah, we'll go through them. Just let's have a look at the other two. You had the Green Party and you had the Independents there as well.
Well, the Green Party was just, I don't know, maybe it was me. I don't know what the listeners thought if they heard it. I mean, I don't know what you thought, but I'll tell you how I thought first, and then sure you can see if you agree. I mean, the Green Party was in power with Fine Gael, or Fianna Fáil, and they had a chance to do something because they were in the seat of power. There was a guy in that boy who was selling recycled grease from the chippers. I ran my van on it for 2 years, and the Greens wouldn't back him. And it would have grown, he wanted farmers to grow rapeseed, which is basically just a weed, and they could have grown that and still got their payments from Europe to keep the lands, free of food because it wouldn't glut the market. And the Greens wouldn't support it for whatever reason, and among other things, and the whole thing became a nonsense. So he was at the table, and for me anyway, had nothing to offer whatsoever.
Yeah, well, after the stunt that John Gormley pulled and what he was doing, and he went on to RTE TV. See, I don't forget. He went on to RTE and he talked about the dangers of fluoride a few years ago, and then he was elected into the government, and the Greens got in, and then all of a sudden he forgot all about the dangers of fluoride. Very convenient. And then he pulled a stunt about getting people to have to sign a form if you have a commercial vehicle because of the road tax when everybody was hurting. So, the Greens knock on the door, they're going to be pushed away as well because, people talking sense about, the property charge and all that. And the Greens, the guy, if I remember this, actually was talking about, there must be, there is another way to do it. And we're saying, hang on a minute, no, we don't want it at all. And he's thinking, oh no, there's another way to do it. No, you don't get the picture here. The people don't want this tax. So when I heard that, I thought, no, he's another guy that's kind of talking through his hat. As the famous saying was. Okay, I was going to say something else there. Steve, question master, I've got a couple of questions for Ben there.
Yes, I do. I have a couple of questions. I have a question, Ben, from Mick. Mick is a long-time listener of the show, and Mick is a regular on Monday night slot on Liffey Sound FM up there in the county of Dublin.
Yeah, I know Mick well.
Oh, well, that's grand. Well, Mick wants to know, Ben, if in the future DDI were to create a majority government, would they be willing to reinstate the real Dáil and do away with the Royal Oireachtas?
Okay. The way I would see that is that, again, it's not something I would be saying on the doors to people because most people would think that they'd probably keep you talking while they rang the ambulance.
Yeah.
So, what I would say is if DDI had the majority, what Mick could do, or anyone else, they could gather enough signatures, and if they felt that would fly, on a vote, like on a referendum, then that's what they could do. At least with the DDI system, you have a say, and you have the power to change it, so long as there's enough people with you. And that's democracy, doesn't it? Like, as I say, it has warts and all, but at least you had your say. Now, the way I would see direct democracy working as well, and obviously, it has to go to a vote within democracy, but the way I would see it is that you fund both concerns one way or the other. So let's say there was a group of people who didn't want that. They want to keep the status quo with a provisional government. You get the equal amount of money to put your case forward. You get equal airtime, not like the last children's referendum.
Yeah.
But you get equal airtime, equal money. And if you get it through, fair play to you, and if you didn't get it through, tough shit. But at least you had your say, and I don't mean that in a bad way, tough shit. I don't mean it in that sort of dismissive way. But the same, let's say you wanted fluoride out of water, and you get the money to educate people, and maybe DDI would have no hand, act or part within the debate, or maybe if DDI members felt very strong about it, to get involved in the debate and try to go to one side or the other. But it's irrelevant in the end because it's the people who will decide.
Exactly. I mean, when you spoke the other evening, about the whole democracy thing. I know there was a couple of questions from the audience when you had the Q&A after the meeting, and I based on the questions, I still kind of figured that some of the people they were still kind of
the direct democracy.
Yeah,
it's not a hard concept. It's a simple concept. It's basically the people decide. No, you don't ask me.
Yeah, but
that's really the concept.
But that
let the banks, let the people decide. You want to take fluoride out of water? Let the people decide. The people, should decide. And there is a thing called, wisdom of the crowd. I prefer to call it wisdom of the people. And it basically, it works. There's no question about it works. And I'll tell you how we know. Say in the world of commerce, right? I'm a manufacturer and I manufacture, say, the iPad. And I think I should get $2,000 for it. Okay? But when we're selling it, no one's paying $2,000. Now, if I sell it for a tenner, it's going to sell like hotcakes. I won't be able to keep it in stock. So, the crowds will eventually say what they're paying for it. And that's how something finds its proper price in the marketplace. That's why, like, a loaf of bread is not the same price as an iPad, because there's wisdom of the crowd there. And, they always seem to find the sort of happy medium, if you like. Some people will say the iPad's too dear, some people will say it's too cheap, but in general it'll find its mark. And I believe that that's what happens in society. There's enough for smart people, but when you don't have a say, you have this sort of crazy thing where a guy decided, look, there was gamblers on a stock exchange, let's take all our sovereign money and give it to them. The Banks Act, it's criminal, let's bail them all out. Now let's change the law to let the bank take our homes. Yeah, that's okay. One of the basic necessities is a home and water. Okay, let's tax them. No one in society wants any of that. Mm-hmm. And that's why there was never a referendum held on any of them issues that I've said, because they knew it would be defeated.
Exactly.
So that's not democracy, right? So they're not letting the people decide. My understanding of democracy is that the people should decide.
Exactly. Like in the house. We have. I'd like to say we have direct democracy at home in our house, whereby if we, if we're going somewhere, we generally, if one or two of the family members don't want to go, we just put it to a vote, basically, and it works. It works at home, so there's no reason why it shouldn't work on a much larger scale in government and running a country. Yeah,
of course, and like. We're getting great responses on the door when we said, look, it's the people who decide. You don't be asking, but you can ask me my views on anything. Like, if you ask me my views on abortion, I'm personally against abortion. That's just my personal view. But that shouldn't offend anyone. Like, if we like people and we like people to be different or whatever, if someone's different than you, just accept that, because life's too short. Don't go trying changing everybody to the way you think. Imagine we all thought the same. That would be a very boring world. My granny used to say that to me years ago. She said if we all liked the same things in life, we'd all be after me granddad. So, I always say, variety is the spice of life. Don't go try changing everybody to your way of thinking. But at the same time, like, if I think that abortion is wrong, so be it. It doesn't matter what Ben Gilroy thinks. It's direct democracy is there. It's what the wisdom of the crowd will decide, whether it's right or wrong, or in certain cases or whatever, And that's why, like, when Vincent Brown asked the questions, they were all fluffing it and didn't know what to say, I have to see the legislation. So they're basically saying someone's going to legislate that for you people, and now that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, so that they couldn't have an independent thought themselves.
Imagine if I was saying to all your listeners tonight, no, I'm going to tell you now the way it's going to be, lads, and this is the way it's going to be. I own TNS Radio now, and that's it. And whatever else.
We're going to get to there, don't worry.
Yeah,
there.
I couldn't think of anything else. But how arrogant would it be of Ben Gilroy to say, right, I'm putting a house tax on everybody? Or whatever the case, I want everybody to wear red shoes, whatever it may be. So what if Ben Gilroy thinks red shoes are nice, or we should all look like country singers, dress like country singers, it doesn't really matter, because it's you who will decide, or at least you will have a say, and if you have enough like-minded people, then that's probably what it's going to be.
Right, before we go on to the next one, we're going to ask the question, right, for the tickets for Bernadette Bowen.
Oh, okay.
Right, and the question is, right, where is Hang on.
Where is, or when is, or where it is?
Where is the actual location of the venue for this seminar that Bernadette's going to have? Where is the venue that it's going to be held? Do you want to give out the phone number?
Sure, may as well. 04692711212. Fastest finger first. Where have I heard that before? I don't know.
Now, if you're available on March the 26th, that's Tuesday, March the 26th, 7:30 to 10 p.m. I was nearly going to read out the venue there. if you're available, by all means, ring in, and first person to phone in gets the tickets. The value of €70. Sorry, Ben. So did we just give that number out again, Steve?
Sure, may as well. Sure. Hang on. Save me repeating it. Hold on.
Give us a call on 046 927 1212.
Thanks very much, Mary. 04692711212.
Right, sorry, Ben. Carry on, Steve. You want the questions there?
There's more questions coming in as well, Ben. But I think a lot of them, basically, I think we already know the answer to, but I'll ask it anyway. Bluebell on the chat wants to know what your thoughts are on, say, Ireland. I'm guessing it's Ireland leaving Europe. But again, I'm guessing it's the same as the abortion thing. It doesn't really matter what Ben Gilroy thinks.
But sometimes people like to know where someone stands as well, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would be too bad a thing. I think the euro was failing. But then if people aren't tuned into that, they might think, oh no, Europe has been good to us. And, you know, Europe was good to us. You know, we definitely got good infrastructure and everything else. But while it had one hand giving, it had another hand in our pocket and robbing all our assets while we weren't watching. So we were getting roads built while they were taking much more expensive stuff that we didn't notice, you know. So what we could notice was the roads and all being built, you know, and they were taking assets that we didn't notice. And I see they're looking to take, I'm not pronouncing this right now, Culture, you know, the forestry crowd. What is it? Culture. Quilcher, sorry, my wife is good on Irish, she's hinting to me there. I think it's 500 million, was it? Is that what they're looking for? Mm. But anyway, so Europe has been good to us in ways, but has been robbing us at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we
But I think the real issue is also the euro was crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely going down. Oh, right, Steve?
Right, Johnny in Meath, he likes Ben and all the work that you've done, and Johnny wants to know, will you be promoting Ireland's Independence Day, or ERA's Independence Day, the 21st of January, and also, would you be promoting MPE, that's obviously the Mathematically Perfected Economy from Mike Montagna, that comes in from Sovereignty.
Yes, I like both of them ideas. As you know, I've seen you at the turning of the seal, and I was at it myself. I was in a high court case, and we came out. I asked the judge that I needed some time, and he was saying, what for? And I said, well, it's Ireland's Independence Day, and I need to go and celebrate, and I'll be back.
Excellent.
So that's why I had to leave early that day to get back up to the High Court, but I'm not sure he knew it was Ireland's Independence Day. No. Yeah, no, I think everybody should know what Ireland's Independence Day. I think it's a disgrace that most people think today is Ireland's Independence Day. And I also think it's a disgrace that when you ask anybody what's the American Independence Day, they'll all tell you, and yet they don't know what their own is.
Well, there's another starter for 10 if you get into this debate, maybe on Vincent Brown, I don't know, but if you say, you know, to a politician, to any of the politicians, are you proud to be an Irishman? And if they say yes, you could say, well, you know, did you celebrate Ireland's Independence Day? Or just be, even if you'd said it off the air and just said it to them, do you know Ireland's Independence Day? You know, do you know when it is?
I wonder would that have been funny to say to Helen McEntee, which you've known.
Yeah, well, there you go, you see. I mean, these people claim to represent the people and they don't have a clue. I just thought, that was one of the things I was going to say here on your next debate regarding Independence Day, to ask them, do they know when it is? Do you know that Ireland has one, first of all, because you probably don't know, and you know when it is. And they say they're there to represent the people, you know, and why, and if they do know it, and they do know when it is, why weren't they there?
Yeah. So a lot of people might not know this about the MPE as well, from Mike Montagna. You know, when we did our summons for the court, you know, and we were doing our statement of claim. You know, this is you put down a statement of what you're claiming. Mike Montana actually wrote one of the parts for us. And some other night I'll get on and I must read the part he did, because if you remember, we put this in almost a year ago, maybe just over a year ago, and I must read the section he put in. And it was a prophetic sort of a thing about if they don't kind of stop this, it'll spiral down into something. And, you know, it was prophetic because you can actually see it happening now, because a year ago things weren't as bad as they are today. And, you know, it was very good. Now, you know, Mike Tanner has great words. He's very poetic, you know, so I got him to, and of course I'm typing while he was talking, and he has a great way with words. You know, you can just, sometimes you need a ready reckoner and the slide rule to just figure out one of his sentences. Yeah, well, it was great on the card paper because it would have impressed the judge.
Yeah, no, Mike is brilliant, and when you ask him, but you know, if you say to Mike, how does that ball bounce? Half an hour later, you have the
you can go make a cup of tea and come back to speak on. He's terrific, you know.
He's a great guy.
If you had him on the radio show, you could just lock up and go home.
No, we've had him on.
We've had him on, and he was given great information, Ben. And I think I can't remember if it was Alan or I. It was probably me. Asked him could he simplify it and put it into layman's terms, and he almost took offence.
Yeah, he got upset with us. You mean you don't understand? Anyway, here's the other thing. I know you have more questions there, Steve.
Indeed.
Go ahead, shoot away. I'll come back to this one.
Right, this is a question from Sovereign T, from the TNS chat. He's wondering, Ben, have you taken measures for your own safety just in case the Crown decides to bump you off?
No, somebody offered to get me one of those, what they call them, the flak jackets, or, you know, the bulletproof jackets underneath.
Yeah.
And he said you'd hardly notice it, and I kind of went along with that idea. I might like to get that, especially if I actually took the seat. I'm not too worried right now. I don't think I'm a real threat to them right now, you know, because I don't think Meath East is the best area in a way for me to run. It was good just to test the waters and stuff like that, but Meath East, although it does have its fair percentage of you know, people in trouble, it's not as bad as other areas, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's probably much hope of me taking the seat, because the trouble when you try to break into the system is, first of all, the state broadcaster gives you no time whatsoever, as you probably have seen.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised I was invited onto the Vincent Brown show, but they're not as state-controlled as the others. You can see in every newspaper, you know, full story on McEntee, and, you know, she's great and terrific, and, you know, and then you might see a stamp of me somewhere at the back. Also, when we wrote to RTÉ, did a few others, the response basically back is that, you know, when you're an established party, you do get far more airtime, and it doesn't be fair, is basically what they were saying. So that makes it almost impossible for anyone to break into the system.
Isn't that like
because you don't have the money either.
Yeah.
Like, you look at all the posters they have around the place, you know, and for some reason, you know, because the guy has loads of posters, they think, well, we'll have to vote for him, you know.
But it's gas how it's like a radio DJ with music, where you have an A and B and C list, and if your record is very popular, you're on the A list, but if it's not, you're on the B or C list. I mean, that's ridiculous. You know, how the hell can any party ever get established if you don't help support them? And that's not, democracy.
They don't want to support a party that's trying to change the system.
Yeah.
If we were just another party and it's all, trust me and I'll represent you and all this sort of stuff, you see, that's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
But Ben Gilroy's actually saying this: you tell me what it is you want, I'll facilitate that through referendum, and if I don't do the job I'm supposed to do, you can sack me.
Yeah.
Now, that's what we promote.
Exactly. And,
you know,
and they won't be saying that. Oh, wait.
No, because somebody, I think it was on Donegal radio, one guy asked me one time, and he said, you're all about honesty and reliability and accountability. Should they all say that? And I said, yeah, they do, but they don't actually say recall if you're not doing the job properly. And he goes, no, in fairness, I'm not saying that.
Ben, just give us a couple of lines on recall for anyone who doesn't know what it means.
Okay, recall, and that was in the Constitution as well. It's basically any TD who gets into the Dáil, and, you know, if the people who elected him, be it, within the party or within the constituency, have a grievances, they can call a voting system and to have them basically step down.
And one thing I heard, Ben, and I mean there's probably a bit of truth in this as well, is that a politician who tells the truth won't last very long.
Well, that's true. But you see, I like to approach it in a different way, which is probably why I won't be successful. But I can't change me. I like to have a bit of a laugh, even though it might be a serious issue. I tell the truth, even though it doesn't score you good brownie points. And if I say I don't know, I'll say, well, if I don't know, I'll say I don't know. And apparently, as a politician, you're not allowed to say don't know, Yes, if you look at the state of the country, they obviously don't know.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah. I think, people, eventually people will, like that sort of thing where it's just say, well, how are you going to do this? Say, look, I don't know, but my plan for that would be to target certain experts who I trust in that field and get certain different opinions on it, and then make an informed decision or put an informed choice to the people or whatever. There's a way around it. I don't know how to drive an airplane, but I know how to fly from Dublin to London. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. See, the thing is, the politicians who say, they can't say I don't know, because that means that they're supposed to be running the country, and if they say they don't know...
They don't know anyway. Yeah. The civil servants run that part of the country, and the other part is dictated by outside influences, as I have spoke about already. So basically, they're just the puppeteers on telly to pretend they're making the decision and doing the work when they're doing neither.
Yeah, it's
that's the truth, though.
It's shameful. Steve, you've got more questions there.
Yes, I do. I've a lovely question here, and I have to ask it, but it's from Duck Dodgers on the TNS chat, and the Duck Man wants to know, Ben, if 51% of the population want to kill the other 49%, what will direct democracy do?
I'd resign. I don't think that would happen, though. In general, Irish people actually like each other. We begrudge each other now and again, we give out about each other, but in general, we still are decent people.
Of course we are.
Yeah. But I think we're losing it a bit. We're getting dumbed down by television and other things, and and of course, when we're all in a bit of trouble as well, it's a kind of them and us mentality, or just the love of fellow man probably goes a bit cold, and that's something I'd like to see coming back.
We need to have that fighting Irish spirit again.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Yeah, once we know who the enemy is, though, because, they can conquer and divide, and they think everybody's against everybody else, it's us and them, it's the public service against the private, and it's blah, blah, blah. And, it's not. If they really knew what was going on, we needn't be fighting with each other at all.
Exactly. Steve, you got more questions there?
Yeah, there's a couple more.
And you, Duck Man, will get me with a hard one, though, but I think I sidestepped that like a professional politician, though.
Good man, yeah.
The Duck Man got you with a hard one.
I can smell the manure at the moment,
Yeah. While I was standing at that gate.
Kelt wants to know, Ben, I think this is going back to when we were speaking about the Independence Day. What if the majority of people in Northern Ireland still want to remain in Britain, who do not recognise the Independence Day?
Well, if that's what the majority of them want, sure, let them at it.
Yep. It's always going to be a no-win situation, I think, with the North.
Whatever way you can't force them to come screaming to love us, If they don't, they don't,
Yeah.
But I hate the actual idea of borders, full stop. I hate seeing this as Ireland even, I kind of see it as a planet thing. If you kind of just think of it a little bit, like you say, open your mind just a little bit more, and think of us all as brothers, and on the whole planet, if you like. Just think of it as one island, and then you notice a lot of the them and us, and the trench mentality kind of breaks away a little bit. But at the minute, that's more the bigger system, it's like taking down the money system for barter system and stuff like that. So you have to work within it. So my thing is, if they don't want to join with us, so be it, because I wouldn't like to see violence and stuff like that break out either, I don't think that's an answer either.
No, violence is never an option. I don't think it should ever be an option. I think, you should be able to sort out problems if we happen to resort to that. Steve, you got another question there?
Right, I'm going to read. I have a comment and a question. So I'll go with this. The comment is from James on the TNS chat, and James says, as a person who was involved in a political party for some years and left in disgust, with no offence to Ben, it is very hard to believe in any party. The system seems to be rotten to the core, and the more I get into it, the more felt sure it was rotten and still is. Well, I think we can probably agree with that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. And that's what we're getting on the doors and that, and people kind of scream, oh, you're all the same, and that's, no, and I said, yeah, I know, maybe we are.
Yeah.
But, the problem is that the system needs changing. The sheriffs are coming, the cops are coming with them, they're taxing the homes, they will repossess. So, you have to change.
Well, come here, Ben.
From within,
Ben, I someone asked me the other day, same question. What's the difference between Ben Gilroy or any other politician for that matter? And I said, well, you look at all the politicians. How many of them have actually stood up for their constituents and got a good result? I said, look, just Google Ben Gilroy and look at him standing up beside a man whose home he was going to be getting turfed out of his home, and defended him with a piece of paper, the Irish Constitution, that not a lot of people know about. And Ben Gilroy done that. I mean, you didn't gain from that. Well, obviously you gained, you learned from it,
right.
but it was nothing
for that reason.
No,
it
of course it wasn't. You just stood beside your fellow man.
I'd like to see, is there any other politicians out there, bar yourself, Ben, who's actually done what you've done?
Well, in fairness to Joan Collins, she was standing beside me.
Right, excellent.
She came down as moral support. She said to me, I wouldn't know what to say, Aaron, so you just do the talking.
Yeah, but she's an independent.
To say, I didn't know, but she stood there in solidarity with me.
Yeah. But she's an independent. I'm talking about the main parties.
No, of course not. I mean, you can't have, you dictating to them the way it's going to be and then come out and help while your policies dragging them out of the home. And I suppose the real difference between me and other politicians is that it doesn't matter if there's no difference between us at all, because it's direct democracy. So let's say I'm Charlie Haughey's love child.
God forbid.
Hold on, I stick a pin in my mind. Okay, so let's say that's the way it is. But yet I bring in direct democracy. Well, so what does it matter?
Yeah.
I mean, what does it really matter? Because the people will decide.
Yeah.
If I do something and you think, hey, that's wrong, that's really Charlie Haughey, you shouldn't have done that. Well, you have the right to change it and stop it.
It keeps going back to the people have the power.
That's what, once you get the theory of direct democracy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in charge as such. They're not really in charge. They're basically just the servant. That's the way it should have always been, the servant of the sovereign. That's why they were known as public servants or civil servants. Well,
the government should always have... I mean, we need a government, but from an administration point of view, not something that can take away our freedoms and keep taxing us. They were there purposely as an administration department to run the country. And that's what we need to go back to. I think.
Well, I tell you, I just have to wrap up here because I have kids screaming and crying here, and I have to go. I'm in the mother-in-law's. But let me just say one thing before I go, and we can get on some other night and discuss again. But basically, what I wanted to say to you is that there's a poster. I forget whose the quote was from, but basically it was something like that: that the banks have destroyed the financial system, and the church has destroyed faith, and the government has destroyed trust, and the legal system has destroyed justice. And I think that's never a true word spoken. So all our assets is gone, all that has happened, and we're demoralised people, and yet you will still see one of the main parties is going to win this. Okay, well listen, before you go, Ben, we just have to get you to answer this. This is from Neve MacDonald. Steve's going to deal with it. Apparently, you're a white supremacist and you own TNS Radio, but Steve, you go ahead and, tell Ben about it.
Well, I think Ben already knows about it. For anyone who doesn't know, I'll just read this out as it is here because I do know Ben is. I know you're kind of stuck for time there, but it's going around Facebook. There's someone going by the name of Neve MacDonald is posting a lot of stuff. And it says here, it didn't take long for Ben Gilroy and DDI's true colours to be revealed. Ben has just tweeted in support of the racist UKIP party. That is not the first tweet in support of the racists. Gilroy also runs TNS Radio with a UKIP MEP speaking on it. Gilroy has appeared on UKIP's website. DDI can seem appealing, but the right-wing racist ideology now appearing means we should challenge this at every opportunity. Stay away from them. Thoughts, Ben?
I was just putting my Ku Klux Klan uniform away there. I had to ask my friend Johnny what right wing was, an extreme right wing, and when he told me, extreme way right or something like that. But I had to ask, he said I think it's more Nazism and racist and stuff like this, Now, I don't run my Twitter account. I don't know how to tweet or how to do something like that, but somebody said you should be on Twitter. So a guy that I trust, Ferdia, runs the Twitter. However, I did put up on my own Facebook a video of Nigel Farage speaking in the EU where he had to go Barossa and stuff like that, which I thought was terrific because he kept saying, "Who are you? No one voted for you." And I put up another video where he said, "Respect the Irish vote," that one. I don't know if you've seen them.
Oh, we have.
You should have a look at them anyway. I think they're terrific clips, and I still stand by. I think they're terrific clips. As about Nigel Farage, I don't know much about him. I mean, he did give us some advice that when we were saying about a party, he said, "Yes, I think you should because Ireland is void of a party." He certainly didn't give me any undertones of being racist or anything, and maybe he is. I'm not this talk shop for him, nor am I here to defend him. If he is, he is. If he's not, he's not. That's fine. It doesn't make any difference to me. But that's what I did. I put up them videos. But to say I'm right-wing or racist or whatever, I mean, it's complete nonsense. And I did question her. I got on because I normally don't, but it was going a bit wildfire. And that's the trouble with Facebook. You can say anything you want. You don't have to quantify it.
Yeah.
I could have come back and said he or she was a paedophile.
Yeah.
Right? It would be a terrible thing to say, but I don't have to quantify it to anybody. I could say it's just been revealed she's a paedophile and that she burnt children with hot water, okay?
Yeah.
And that's it. That'll go like wildfire. But, there's no truth to it. It doesn't matter. You can just say what you want on Facebook. So I eventually came on and I said to her, "You said it's just been revealed that Ben Gilroy's true colours." Well, revealed by who? And what was revealed? And I said, "So why didn't you ask me?" And then she said something about I was a liar. And I said, "Great, maybe I am. But what's the lie? What's the lie?"
Yeah.
And she wouldn't come back on. And then there was people saying, "Look, Ben Gilroy's online now," because apparently she was having to go for a good few days. I was busy and I haven't seen it. And she was having to go for ages. And I kept saying, "Look, I'm on now, what's the lie?" And a load of people then were having to go at her saying, "Look, he's online now, and I'm beginning to lose patience with you as well. What's the lie? Tell him what it is." And I said, "Well, couldn't you just ask me a question first? I'd have answered it." If I was racist, I could have said I'm racist.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Please ask me for some decency. And then I own TNS Radio. Now this is true. This will come as a lot of shock to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I actually own OYM as well.
Yeah, okay,
boss.
boss.
You're not aware of this.
Oh, okay, boss.
Yeah, because apparently every radio show I get interviewed on, I somehow become owner of it. I mean, it's complete nonsense. But you see, the more you try to defend it, the more you look guilty. So I think you're better off saying nothing sometimes. But that was just gaining legs, so I had to come on and say it to her.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's fair enough. Well, listen, Ben, we let you go. We're going to play your song. So just stay with us there for a minute. We're going to go into your song, and we'll be back after this. Hang on there.
Start spreading the news. Ben's leading the way. You'll have your power returned to you with DDI. Those vagabond bonds, they have dragged us all down. We need to be apart from them. Vote DDI. We want to wake up in a country that has no debt and no world back in control, not on the heap. These Fine Gael blues. they are melting away. We're gonna make a brand new start of it with DDI. If we can make it there, we'll make it anywhere. It's up to you to vote DDI. Up in a country that has no debt and find we're back in control off of the dole, free of those clowns, a number one. These Finnegan Blues. To you, vote Ben Gilroy. Number one, DDI. Direct Democracy Ireland.
This is Open Your Mind Radio on OYMIreland.com, CNSradio.ning.com and ICRadionetwork.com.
Okie dokie, that's the DDI campaign song, and I have to admit, when Alan and I were at the meeting during the week, we got to meet the guy who's actually singing that song, and at the end of the meeting, for anyone who was there, he was asked to just kind of give a little a cappella, and he did. He actually stood up and he just belted out the tune, and yeah, he's a fantastic voice. He didn't sound as strong there on the track, but in person, his voice filled the room without a microphone.
That's it. Now, if you want to get this track, if you go over to directdemocracyireland.ie, it's on the page there. You can actually play it. That's where the song is, so you can pop over there. Now, we've had no phone calls yet for these 2 tickets.
Nobody wants them. What's the story?
You know, I mean, the Bernadette flyer happens to be on the OYM webpage under the events calendar, and we're looking for the answer. Where is this event going to be held? So you have 35 minutes, give or take, to phone in with the answer to get 2 tickets to this show on the 26th of March.
Obviously, everybody must be busy.
They must be busy. Brilliant show.
Just ring in and tell us where the event is taking place, and you get two tickets.
Yeah. Okay. Now, there's a couple of things that we obviously were going to talk to Ben about, and Ben had to head off there. But one of the things that was said on the LMFM interview was the credit union have done a survey, and they said that at the end of the month, people only have €50 available to spend. And this was one of the questions that was banded around in the LMFM interview. Some people have probably heard it, some people haven't. And Ben asked the question, I believe, that, well, what do you do? I mean, you're bringing in the property tax, there's going to be €300 or €400, and people only have €50. I mean, are the politicians, Fianna Fáil and Labour, that bad at the maths? Well, they must be. Because, you know, I think at one time they lost money as well. They couldn't account for certain money in the revenue. But, you know, can you... Oh, we have a phone call. Let's see if we can bring them in here. Hello, caller. How are you?
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Hell, not too bad.
That's Alan.
I'm Alan. That's Steve. Who do we have and where are you?
We have David here in Donabate.
David. All right, David.
A long-time listener.
Oh, excellent, David. Well done. Well, David... What's the answer to the question there? Where is the actual seminar going to be held?
I think it's in the airport hotel, is it?
Oh, very good.
Yeah, okay, we'll give him that. Will we give him...
He's the only one ringing in. He's getting the tickets.
Well, I was trying a few minutes ago, actually, and I had the number typed in wrong. I thought it must have been busy.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, David.
We're ordering pizza.
Yeah. I'll tell you, David, send
doing
us...
the same myself soon.
Good man. Well, listen, David, do us a favour. That's excellent. The answer's right there. And at this show, I've been to this show, and it really is a mind opener when you hear the doctor talking, Brian Clement and Bernadette, what they have to say. So you're definitely going to enjoy yourself with that. David, can you email us over your details? And we will pass.
I'll do that.
Yeah, do that. Pass us on your full details, and we'll obviously contact Bernadette, give the details. So when you go to the venue, you'll be able to give the details to Bernadette. She'll know who you are, and with the full details, and then we'll sort out the tickets from there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Alan. That's great.
Brilliant stuff, David. Thanks for listening,
all right,
and keep tuning in. Thanks a lot.
Take care, man.
Bye. So there we go. We have David in Donabate, who has won the tickets for the Bernadette Bowen seminar, which is brilliant. It really is a good seminar, guys. So well done, David, on winning the tickets there.
We might even throw a couple of car stickers in there as well.
We might even send him a couple of bumper stickers as well, so we can stick them on his car. But so just going back to what I was saying there about the €50, 400 doesn't go into 50. No matter what calculator you use, it doesn't work. So if you are going to, if a TD knocks at your door and the credit union report is an official credit union report, I just ask them that simple maths question. Ask them, how do you divide 400 into 50? I'd love to know, and I'm sure, if they can work that out, they should be like Einstein, because I've tried it on my calculator and I just can't do it. So, because they seem to be ignoring and skating over the issue, and they'll come up with some random excuse about why we need the property charge and da-di-da-di-da-di-da, and this is why I hate this politician's answer. And I would say if they came to the door and I asked them that, and they did skate over the question, I'd just say, look, cut the crap, tell me what the answer is. You can't answer because there's no answer to it. You just skating over it. So that's just the way I'd see it anyway. So I think that's a question. The other thing that they mentioned on the show, and they keep doing this as well, and they keep saying about all the politicians seem to jump on there's loads of IT job bandwagon there. Well, I'm telling you now, my background is IT, right? And I've been out of IT for a few years. From a corporate point of view, I still do IT, but not from a corporate point of view.
If it wasn't for you, I'd be lost.
There you go. Steve is my number one supporter. But I can tell you now, if I went to an agency, even though I had X amount of years in the business and done what I have done, I can guarantee you now I wouldn't get a job, because my skill set from a corporate point of view is old technology. So relevant to all the other stuff I've done, and I know my skill set, if it's not up to date, when we have things like recessions, it's always an employer's market. And I've spoke to a lot of the employment agencies are a waste of space because they actually don't know the technology. And I've been in situations where they've looked at my details and I've had 10 things on it, and they said, oh no, we need 11. And so that's it. So nothing got to do with who you are as a person, your approach, your background experience, nothing got to do with that. You have 10 things and they wanted 11. So this kind of attitude, and it tends to be people who sing this, who keep saying, who know nothing about IT, keep saying, oh, there's loads of IT jobs. There's nothing. I mean, I even get it now and again from my family members who happen to say to me, oh yeah, it was in the paper there's loads of IT jobs. But they know nothing about IT. They just think a programmer is a programmer. They don't know anything about the languages, and the technology that you have to use. So, if a TD does come knocking at your door and they use that excuse, oh, we're creating loads of IT jobs, for who? For maybe for foreign workers to come in, or qualified IT people are leaving the country and going somewhere else. So that's another excuse, the IT job thing. So just to kind of talk about that. But what's your take on it, Steve?
Well, I think the government that we have in at the moment and the previous government, they're putting their into IT. To be totally honest, that's my take. Another issue that was brought up on that LMFM debate was they're talking about retraining people. Because let's say they did mention that the building sector was kind of had done a nosedive, and that it's up to the builders to retrain themselves. A guy who's been a builder all his life who wouldn't know one end of a computer from another. Yeah. He can probably turn it on and probably send an email just about. Because you know as well as I do, there's a lot of people and computers and computer technology. It scares them. It's not that they just don't know what to do or they don't know how to use it. It actually scares them because what if? And this is something that I kind of get from time to time as well. People say, what if I press the wrong button and I break it? You're going, well, you won't break it. But you have a guy, let's say for argument's sake, he's a builder all his life. That's all he knows. He's a damn fine builder or a bricky or a plaster or a sparks, whatever. And all of a sudden he finds himself unemployed. And now what they're saying is, well, you need to retrain yourself. You need to retrain. So you have a guy who knows nothing about these machines and he has to go in, do a basic computer course. And if then, let's say he wants to do one of these, the Microsoft courses or whatever it is, so you can be a techie at the end of it, or a troubleshooter, or what's the technical thing?
Well, the MCSE qualified, the MCP, Microsoft qualified engineers.
Yeah, so let's say they want to do something like that, because that's where the jobs are. They have to train, probably go back to college, and let's say a builder, he's I don't know, at this stage, let's say he's 50 years of age, maybe he could be older. And he has to go in and probably train for 5-6 years. So while he's training for these 5 or 6 years, is he getting any help, any assistance? Probably not. And then after that, when he comes out, he's now newly trained, and he's not guaranteed a job. He's not guaranteed a job anyway. And I think one of the guys on LMFM did say, so you could go back and you could do this retraining for 5 years, and at the end of it, it's a it's a waste of time.
It's a way that the government massage the figures to show that people are actually off the live register.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. Yeah. And these people going in, as you said, Steve, quite rightly, if he's going to do a computer training course and it's a 6-week course, 7-8 week course, where's the money going to come from to support his family or support them while he's doing that training course? Because obviously, if he's doing the training course, he's not working.
Yeah.
So it's all, don't listen to these politicians when they say this. It's all rhetoric and it's all trying to get your vote. It's just, well, personally, my own personal opinion is, as Steve said, this guy needs money, and he needs money to support his family or himself. And going on a computer training course, if you take somebody who's non-technical and put them on the basic training course, what job are they going to get, really, after it?
After the basic course?
Would you?
None, because a 10-year-old child knows more about the basics of a computer.
Would you hire somebody who is an tradesman, or somebody who doesn't know computers, doesn't have to be tradesman, but somebody who doesn't know computers, have done a 6 weeks course, and then they're looking for a job in your office as a computer person? You wouldn't really, would you?
No, it's the same as what you say. You go in with 10 things on your CV, and they go, oh, well, we were really looking for 11, so.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Well, actually, Blue Bell on the chat facility makes a very relevant point there. It's ironic that the politicians don't have to be trained for anything. And exactly. So.
No, that's a brilliant statement. That is Blue Bell, fair play. How about going up to the local job centre and saying, what courses are available? And they go, oh, we have this, that, and the other. You're going, well, do you know what? I'm really looking for a politician's course. Yeah, a politician's course, because I want to be a politician.
Yeah.
And then, what training what qualifications do they need?
Well, that's another.
Evidently none.
Well, that's another thing you can talk about on the doorstep. When they come to the doorstep and say, what qualifications do you have to run this country?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what qualification? Because, I'm more than happy to tell them my qualifications and my background.
Yeah.
So what qualifications do you have? And if he comes knocking on the door saying, and this is not having to go at teachers, but if Andy Kenny knocked at the door and said, well, I'm a teacher. Right, okay, and that's it. You're a teacher, and that's the qualifications you have. Now, what we need is businessmen. People have been in business that know about business. Not somebody who's run a bike shop. Somebody who actually knows about business and been involved in business. But here's the other thing as well, sidetracking a little bit. we know there's a lot of people on TNS and OYM, and we've sent the information about Dun & Bradstreet and about how all the departments of Ireland Incorporated are all different departments, okay? Now, one of these corporate companies that I worked in years ago, multi-billion dollar company, it was a business travel company. And what they did, every department had a cost centre. It meant that every department had a budget, and every department could cross-charge everybody else's department. And the department I was in, one of the things that we used to get in was computer consumables. So what we used to do is, we used to get in the computer consumables, say we get a laser toner for €40, okay, or 40 sterling at the time because I lived in the UK. And what we would do is we would charge the department who needed that laser toner £45, right? So the extra bit of money we actually got, we used to put it into the slush fund for the Christmas due for the department, okay? So the way I see it, and this is really, it's subjective rather than objective because it's just my own personal opinion on it. But if all these departments in Ireland Incorporated are individual departments that have their own cost centres and they cross-charge each other for the business that they do with each other, then it makes sense that, you know, how the revenue and why they want all this money coming in. Because they're all cross-charging each other for services needed. So obviously the money has to come in, and the money comes in from the revenue they're making, the likes of the statutes and laws they're making, and the legal fees and the fines and all that kind of stuff, and that's where the money is generated. And obviously that gets bounced around in each department under Ireland Incorporated. Now, I can't confirm that because I'm not involved in it, but to me that would make logical sense why all these departments are all separate and why they may be charging each other. So, if anybody knows if that's the case, by all means, you know, let us know, because we'd really like to find out about that. If that is the case, it'd be quite good. But I know it was interesting about the shill and the troll on Facebook with Ben. And Ben, he runs TNS Radio, and obviously he runs OYM as well.
And from what I've seen in the chat, he also runs Liffey Sound, and because of that, Mick wants a wage.
Well, we all want a wage if he's the boss. Yeah. All right, boss. But so that's really that was a good interview. Like the information, we had a good time on Wednesday. It's a pity. I know it's a last minute thing. There were 60 people there, but there was great positivity at the meeting. And again, the Fianna Fáil guy who went and exposed after climbing to the top. It was a bit. He said it was a very cutthroat, but he climbed to the top of the organisation where he was with Fianna Fáil, and that gave him access to the bookwork. And within 2 days of getting access to the bookwork, he left because of the corruption. Now, everybody listening to the show should be going out and telling people about this. You know, and try and wake them up as much as you can. If the politicians knock on the door, say, hey, you know what I heard? I heard this happened. And then just keep talking about it with that. I just cannot believe these people who are keep voting, you know, the mainstream parties. Now, look, you know, at the end of the day, you know, my own personal opinion is I have my vote, and I know where my vote's going to go. But we still want to have these parties on OYM so we can talk to the politicians and get their point of view and find out what the story is and see if we can get past this attitude that they have and these politician answers rather than giving us the straight answers that we want. So if you do know a politician or anybody related in politics, ask them to come on, whatever party they're on. Even the independents, we'll have them on. Not fair enough.
Well, absolutely. But as I said earlier on, I mean, we have sent out invitations. It's not as if, I mean, I don't want anyone listening to the live show now, or maybe if you listen to this podcast during the week, to think that, those lads, they're so up, you know, DDI's backside, it's unbelievable. We're not. We're like everyone else. We get up in the morning, we put our, as the old saying goes, we put our trousers on one leg at a time, same as everyone else. But I mean, we've extended the hand, the invitation to other parties who will be willing, and other like local TDs who will be willing to come on and just kind of, you know, get down. I mean, not have a pre-recorded script or a set of questions already predetermined, you know, that they can go away and read the answers to, and you know, not scripted is what I'm trying to say. And we've extended that invitation to local TDs, and no one wants to come on. I mean, some of them don't even bother their arses replying. It's like as if you don't exist. If I'm not going on RTE, I'm, you know,
not interested.
If it's not RTE, I'm not interested, and they don't want to come on. And I mean, to be totally honest, I mean, my own personal opinion is I like the cut of Ben Gilroy's jib, as they say. I like where the man is coming from. Then again, Ben Gilroy and DDI could be a crock of you-know-what as well. However, that said, and again, this is my own personal opinion, and we're not advocating that we're pro-DDI, but a lot of what they're saying seems to make sense. I mean, giving the power back to the people. if Enda Kenny, I mean, let's say for argument's sake, if Enda Kenny come on here and he said, "Yeah, lads, you know what? Fair play. I'm going to put my cards on the table. We're going to do a 360. We're going to adopt this direct democracy. We've looked at what's going on in other countries and the countries that have adopted DDI, and we think it's the way forward. We're going to give it a go and see what happens. You know, win, lose or draw." If Enda Kenny come on and said that, and he said it in such a way that I actually believed he meant every word of it, he'd get my vote in the morning. If there was an election in the morning, he'd get my vote. Because from what we've seen and looked into about the whole DDI thing, it does seem that it makes sense. And as I say, for anyone who's listening, and maybe listen to the podcast during the week, we're not pro DDI, pro Ben Gilroy, pro anyone. But we do know a good idea when we hear one. And if enough people are saying that, you know, singing from the same hymn sheet, and there's enough proof out there to say that an idea works, well, my frame of mind will be, well, do you know what, we should give it a go and see. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, what have we lost? Nothing. I mean, as it stands, we're going to have 4 years of this government, 4 years of the previous government, 4 years of the previous government before that, and it just seems, and this is something Alan said before, and it's one of those things that kind of sticks in my mind. It's like the circus. It's just, you have different clowns, but the circus and the rules, the house rules, are always the same. The house rules don't change, but you get to vote in different clowns. Sorry, I thought you were turning my mic down there.
No.
I thought you were flashing the lights. You know, have you right there, folks? But yeah, it's to me, the whole politics thing is it is the house rules of the circus, and we get to vote in the different clowns, and the different clowns, you know, they'll be smart or they'll be funny, and they'll cheer us up, they'll make us laugh and smile, and then we go, well, I'm having Bubbles over there, I'm going to vote for Bubbles, and we vote Bubbles in, and then Bubbles goes, ha ha ha, this is me mean side, I'm now Chucky, I'm not Bubbles anymore.
It's definitely a case that, I mean, I just like, Ben is straight, and I just like what Ben says, and it's just refreshing to have somebody say what you want other politicians to say, rather than coming out with their political rhetoric, which they normally do. And as I say, that TD that was condescending to Ben, that's what you're faced with. You know, and I'm just, you know, I have had nobody knock on my door just yet, and I'm waiting on them to knock on the door, and I hope they do, because I want to have a chat with them.
Yeah, well, you want to take down that sign you have, the one that says politicians F off.
Well, probably having DDI posted on the car probably doesn't help, because that's my own personal preference, because Ben's is the only one I've heard that's actually talking sense. You know, and years I've heard politicians say the same old thing and nothing changes. It's refreshing to hear something new. You know, it is, and I do hope that something does come of it. But we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what happens. Ireland is getting worse at the moment with I believe, you know, what they're saying is that the banks are getting more access. The banks have been given more access to ramp up the evictions in Ireland. And I even know that the Gardaí are making a protests as well. They're saying they had enough, and they're doing various things. One of the things that was in the papers there recently was that the Gardaí were saying that they're not going to be stopping people that have tax out of date as a silent protest, and fair play to them. And I hope they carry on doing that.
And just to let people know that, okay, that was in the paper, but you have some insider information. You do know someone. You do have a contact in the Guards, and they have kind of rubber stamped and said, yeah, well, that is true.
Yeah,
you know, so we're not just kind of making this up.
Well, I kind of said to this person that it would be fantastic if, you know, when the court issues a summons, and they obviously send out the guards to actually knock on the person's door and arrest them under a bench warrant. Well, I said, you know, if it's a crime, like a proper crime, then fair enough, do what you have to do. But if it's for a TV licence or property taxes or anything stupid, then, to be honest with you, I think what they should do is pretend to go to the person's house or just drive past it and then report back and go, yeah, he wasn't in. And then that would be another silent protest. And they could easily do that. They could easily do that, to be honest with you. So I do, you know, if anybody knows a family member or a guard, say it to them. Say, you know, I think you should do this, because I think if the guards did that, it would, you know, again, revenue, it would affect the government, and maybe something will come of it. It'd be good to see, you know.
I totally agree. What was I going to say?
There was something I was going to say as well regarding the, now I've lost the track, but again, got to do that.
You said something there, and it kind of I said, oh, must mention that, and it's gone out of my head. Yeah, it's something that I read on the internet as well in relation to, you know, over here in Ireland, a lot of the smaller Garda stations, they've been closed down. A lot of the stations that, like in small towns and villages, they wouldn't be in main cities and town, or the main towns and big towns, but they're kind of the smaller villages that would have had Garda stations. A lot of them have been closed down, and I did read something on the old internet today that said that the Minister for is it Justice Alan Shatter?
Alan Shatter, yeah.
Alan Shatter, he's kind of he's not really supporting the guards, because technically he doesn't give a damn about the guards, and he seems to be putting all his time, money and effort into making sure that the army are well kitted out, and seemingly a lot of his time is devoted to ensuring that they have bulletproof vests and, you know, the best of gear, bigger magazines, bigger guns, bigger weapons, better weapons, so that when the revolution happens, that they'll be in his corner. But he doesn't care about the guards, because anyone who's listening to the show from outside the Republic of Ireland, our guards, the Gardaí, they're not armed.
Well, funny you should say that, Steve, because it was said to me from an ex-military man not so long ago that the budget for the army has not been affected whatsoever.
Yep.
I wonder why. Okay, you have to put two and two together there. And also, the other thing I forgot to mention was that the guards should not also turn up at evictions. They should say, no, I'm not going. You know, like, who is sending them out to evictions? You know, that's a civil matter. It's not a criminal matter. So why are they going out with these bailiffs or these sheriffs, you know, and going with evictions, when they should say, no, we're not doing it? Because the evictions would stop overnight if they did that. If the guards stopped going with these sheriffs, the evictions would stop overnight, because the sheriffs probably wouldn't turn up. Because if there's a gang of people outside the house and he's there on his own, he's not going to do it. You know, I'm not, you know, we don't condone violence, but at the end of the day, I think a gang of people is enough to kind of put somebody off doing something. You know, so I think that's hopefully if you have family members that are in the guards, just kind of suggest it to them and see what they say. You know, put the word out. That would be, you know, I think it'd be a good move if we could do that. But as we heard that the army's budget's not being affected, and if anything, Alan Shatter's probably ramping up things with the army, because things are probably going to get worse before they get better.
Yeah, see the post there from Kells. I wasn't actually aware of that. That's how much I don't really be paying attention, but the Minister for Justice, this is the first time, the Minister for Justice is also the Minister for Defence. That's Mr. Alan Shatter.
Yeah, okay, well that's interesting as well. Right, what's Vin? Has Vin got anything on tonight?
He probably does, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll send him a message and find out and bring you all up to speed.
We'll see what Vin has on.
Well, sure, we've only another 10 minutes. I'll tell you, we're not doing too bad now. We're kind of filling the old space there since Ben exited stage left.
Oh no, we got a few things to say. There's a few things on our list now. Next week, we have 2 guests on next week. On the first part of the show, we have a lady called Marielle who makes her own organic products, and she's had brilliant results with people suffering from various skin conditions. So that'll be interesting to get Marielle on, to have a chat with her and find out what she's doing and the positive effects that her products are having on people. Now, the other guest that we have on from 8 o'clock onwards is a bit of a controversial character. It's a lady called Mel V.
Mel V.
Mel V. She's a broadcaster, she's a radio host for a radio station called Freedom Central Radio. And she's kind of been having a pop at people like David Icke and Brian Gerrish and Ian Crane and a few other people like that. So we've invited Mel V on to just find out what why she's having a go with these people and what information she has to actually talk about these. You know, she obviously not too happy about certain things that they're doing. So we said, well, would you like to come on and tell us what's going on? Because obviously we're that kind of show that we'll get 2 points of view and see what she has to say. So that'll be interesting.
Sorry.
What?
2 points of view. It sounds like you're ordering the drink. What do you have? I'll have 2 points of view, please.
2 points of view, please. So I'll be curious to see what Mel V on. Now, as I said, bit of a controversial character. If you go on YouTube and type in Mel V, and you can actually, have a listen to 1 or 2 interviews that she has done, and you can make your mind up with that as well. Now, the other thing I just want to touch base with and go back on was the Miles Johnson, who was on the show last week. Again, we were talking about Basis 23, where he interviews James Casbolt, a.k.a. Michael Prince. Now, you really, really want to have an open mind to that video, because he talks about stuff that is just, wow, it's just on a different level, okay? And you really, really have to have an open mind to it. But if it takes your fancy, pop along, have a listen to it, and see what you think. Send us an email, let us know what you think. But remember, keep an open mind. Because our first thought process a lot of the time when we hear stuff that sounds fantastic is, I don't believe that, okay? Because we all do it. It's just part of our conditioning. I don't believe that. But at the end of the day, when I listened to it, I thought, wow, that sounds unbelievable. But the second thing, my logic brain kicked in and said, right, okay, he's talking about all this. Where's the evidence? We need to see the evidence. We need to see something. Just one man talking about it is not evidence. It's hearsay until we actually see the evidence. So we need to actually get the evidence. So I did email Miles, and I asked him if we can get any evidence or is there any information. So hopefully he'll be able to send us an email and let us know about that. Now, also, don't forget, we're going to send a link probably tomorrow and about this drug called scopolamine, which affects your memory and makes people, it'll block your free will, wipe your memory, and can even kill. And it's in South America, and apparently one of the government alphabet agencies, NSA, FBI, whatever, have used it as a weapon. They've been using it as well as a weapon.
They should put that in the chemtrails. That'd be great, wouldn't it? If they were just going to spray that, on every one of us every day. Well, and then just tell you'd switch on the TV and you'd get the news and you'd believe it. We wouldn't be. We just the likes of us and TNS and all the we'd disappear overnight. Yeah, well, they'd probably put it in the water. I mean, the people who are still voting for the obvious political parties in Ireland, really, I just can't believe. I mean, how can you be that conditioned to see the country in the state it is and still vote for the same party? I just don't get it. Maybe somebody else can explain it to me. But, JJ Walls
on the chat facility. We know the man, good man. We met at the DDI do on Wednesday. JJ Walls, bases.
The DDI do?
DDI.
Oh, come on, please. The DDI do. The do what the DDI do. Yeah. I can see Sting singing that.
Definitely. Well, it's called, Miles Johnson, it's called Bases 23, and it will really, really open your mind.
You think we're opening your mind? Oh, no.
Oh,
wait till you see Miles' stuff.
Wait till you see Miles' stuff. It's just way out there.
Yeah, we're opening minds. He's blown heads off.
Yeah, oh, big time, big time. But that's the news. So there's nothing planned for this week. Well, I'm all over the place this week, but it's all personal stuff that has to be sorted. But nothing really on the cards at the moment. How about you for this week?
Anything on the cards? No, I'd say I'm just going to be, excuse me, getting rid of this frog in my throat. I'm just going to be, checking out some more of the links. I know you sent me over a couple of links during the week, and a lot of them I have got through. Some of them I haven't. So there's kind of, the links to be got through, and I've a plethora of emails to reply to. I know people were asking me. People had emailed us in relation to the vaccine thing, and I was supposed to get back to some people, and I do apologise. I haven't actually done that yet, but I haven't forgotten about it either. So that's the state of play there. And just while I have the microphone before Alan grabs it back off me again, just heard in from Vin. Vin is going to be doing pretty much the same as we've been doing for the past 40 minutes. He's going to be winging it tonight as well. So when you're finished listening to us, if you nip on over to tnsradio.ning.com, you'll hear the dulcet tones of Vin. And Vin's looking for callers. So, I mean, obviously, if you ring in and have something to discuss, Vin will be more than happy to do so.
Okay, now there's something I came across during the week. I just remembered I want to talk to you about, and the thing is about people like stations like OYM, TNS, Awake Ireland, and all the other radio stations, the alternative media, and somebody accused us as not OYM but all the alternative media stations as propaganda stations for all the stuff that's out there. So we are just promoting what people are talking about and what they're doing. Now, we wouldn't say promoting, I would just say informing. And at the end of the day, if you watch this stuff that we talk about, or you go and listen to an interview or whatever, you have to work out what resonates with you. We're never going to tell you what to believe, what's right and wrong and everything else. That's down to you to decide. So I think the person was wrong. You have to be educated. Knowledge gives you choice, ignorance doesn't. And I think it's very important that at least you actually go and listen to this stuff and then make up your own mind. And don't, because we might believe it doesn't mean you have to believe it as well. So I think it is important, but this person was trying to say that alternative media stations or new media stations are using the stuff like propaganda and just, throwing it out there and repeating what's being said. Well, we are educating, we are saying what's out there, but we're not telling you what to choose or what to decide or what to believe. That's the whole thing about alternative media. We're not tied to any corporate entity or controlled. We give you the facts, we give you the raw facts, and then you decide yourself what you want to believe and whether it resonates with you. I think that's an important note to make. I think it is very important.
I think, there is a lot of information out there, and I think all the alternative media stations, they want to give you all the information and let you, kind of make your own mind up. You have the likes of the mainstream, they'll give you their version of reality, their version of events, and they want you to believe that hook, line and sinker. All we're saying is that, instead of just listen to one person's or one institution's perspective, look at it from all different angles. Instead of looking at it through one eye, look at it through both eyes. That's it. I know we are tight for time here. We've got about 5 seconds.
Okay, right. Good night for myself, Alan James. Take care. We'll catch you later.
Okay. Good night for myself, Stephen George, as well. Pleasure being here, and we'll do it again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Open your mind.